Ah, ah. Cosa? Sì, 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 preferisco stare qui.
Facciamo così, se non le
Ah,
dispiace.
ah.
Poi abbasso io il volume,
Ah,
lo gestisco
ok.
io, perché se no ci innesca e abbiamo il live streaming. Quindi anche per eventuali domande ci sarà uno dei ragazzi del festival che porterà un microfono, quindi se possibile sempre farsi fare se ha delle questioni,
Ma guarda, non c'è nessuno, io direi facciamolo per l'amore della registrazione, del digital
va
recording e
bene, e
poi
poi vediamo.
chiudiamo e Q&A prossima volta, arrivederci.
Tanto
Guarda,
aspettiamo,
gli ultimi 3 giorni sono arrivati tutti verso le
alle
2.05.
2.05.
No, è una delle sale più sfigate queste,
Sì, no,
cioè è veramente
lo,
imbucata,
lo dice a noi.
mamma mia.
A
Vabbè,
noi ci dicono squadra vincente non si cambia,
quindi,
stare qui dalla mattina alle 8:30, la sera e poi
immagino.
con la mezz'ora d'aria adesso per pranzo. Stiamo chiedendo a gran voce infatti di cambiare. No, poi non c'è aria condizionata, quindi
Mi fai vedere l'inquadratura come viene fuori?
sì.
No, quali sono i limiti?
No, e siamo full screen, anche in diretta. Siamo full screen. Beh, per me è meglio perché sono basso e largo. Comunque eccola l'inquadratura praticamente. Poi cosa va? Una cosa di questo tipo.
Addirittura,
Sì, sì. Quindi è meno basso di quanto pensa.
ok, dai.
La signora conferma?
Sì che anche la signora non è già tanto da parlare, secondo me, però.
Possiamo
Tanto lui vuole
provare.
chiudere la finestra.
No,
No, è che
il problema è che ci va poi fuori screen.
io sinceramente non so come si fa.
No, 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 no. Poi ci va fuori. Sì, ma è diagonale, lo schermo. L'unica cosa che possiamo fare è questa. Tu ce l'hai l'ISGroup, capito? Perché c'è tutto l'errore parallelo, esatto, sia dello schermo che. Bene, rimetto il tappo e poi quando iniziamo,
Va
quando
bene.
io il computer penso che
Ah.
sono io. Chiude il microfono anche, adesso.
have the majority.
Yes, in English, okay. Excuse me in advance for my completely broken English.
In advice.
Let's hope that we will succeed in communication. Iniziamo. Ah. Però mi manca la slide. Hi everybody, thank you for being here today. My talk is on the lost war on information security. What happened? It happened that now everything is software defined. Our process, our companies, our data is handled and managed by software. Who am I? I'm a security researcher, an hacker, and I'm paid to hack into system from 10 years about, and it's about 15 years that I do this. So I'm also the owner of a security company called ISGroup, and the founder of a security research team called USH. You can visit it on ush.it. Okay, now let's move from me to you, to give you some information. The lost war on information security. Why am I saying this? I do sell security consultancy, but in the meantime, I'm saying no. We completely lost the war on the security of our data, of our information. The second title of this talk is The Cloud Dangers. Why the cloud paradigm is going to create, augment the risk to our data. So let's start from the basic. For who is not a security conscious person. Let's start from a definition, the definition of vulnerability. A vulnerability is something that is able to create an impact on security. So everything that is able to affect the security is a vulnerability. This security itself can be seen as the ability to maintain properties. Which are these properties? Is the confidentiality, it's the integrity of the data, and it's the availability of the data. This is often referred as the CIA triad. And naturally, there are more complex schemes to represent the security that take in account other properties. If our software is able to maintain these three base elements, we can call it secure and safe. And why the stuff that we have on our mobile phones, our web application, our servers are vulnerable? You as journalists may think that there is a change in the landscape of the attacks and so on, but the reality is that it's the same stuff from about 20 years. The technology stack doesn't change that much. We still have an application that speak TCP/IP, we still have the client-server paradigm, and so on. So the way software is vulnerable, is insecure, doesn't change over time that much. But if you hear marketing guys, you will always hear new buzzwords. But in real, the issues are all the same. So think about weak password or improper application design or unsafe deployment or issues typical of the secure development, like buffer overflows, SQL injection, and so on. All these are vulnerabilities. And why do these vulnerabilities are present in our software? Well, the answer is that They are in our software and in everybody's software because the software is written by human, and human do mistakes in every field of the application. So software is written by human implement bugs into software. And we can say that vulnerabilities are a subset of the bugs. So software contains bugs. Some of these bugs are vulnerabilities because the bugs have an impact on the security of the data of the program. Okay, let's go on. The number of bugs present in a software is connected to the complexity of that software. More is complex software, more bugs it has, more vulnerabilities it has. And if we think about the complexity of software that we use every day, we understand that the fact that the software does work is a miracle. The software should, let's say, startup system. Well, maybe I spend the same 10 units of effort by performing the attack, but I get hundreds of thousands of customer data. It's much, much better from the attacker standpoint of view. So this fact enable scenarios that would not exist with on-premise application, on-premise software, on-premise infrastructure. For example, hackers targeting your specific provider. If you have your custom CRM application installed inside your network, there will never be a Zeus Trojan variant for your application. Okay, going on, other problems of the cloud approach, the confidentiality, the accountability, the privacy of the data. Who is looking at your data? Your and the other customers' data are on the same database. When I build with other guys and a social application, the first administrative functionality we built was the list of the users with their photo to stalk on them. So who access your data? What's the privacy impact? And how much information you have on the usage of the data. So think about the insider threat. With a cloud software, an employee account gets a value. Apple employees are asked by people if they want 23,000 euros or dollars to leak their account. This is not going to happen on the small employee of the employee of your small company or a medium-sized company. This is not going to happen. Also, other type of interests may exist. Another problem, it's shared by design. We said this before. 2, 3, or even now, if your web agency says, we loaded your website on Aruba, you say, no, this is terrible. I don't want to be on Aruba because it's shared hosting. But with the cloud infrastructure, you get the same because it's shared by design. There is no difference between a shared hosting and an application who handle multiple user data. And also, which are the standards of the application itself? For example, the identity management, the authentication controls. You are a company, you use a lot of cloud application, and you have to authorize your people to access this application. When somebody of your staff goes away, goes to another company, who will remember to remove him from every single application you enable that guy? This is a problem. Managing the access to all these applications is complex. And in the traditional paradigm, we solve this with Active Directory. We have all the users in the same place. We have all the users belonging to groups that can perform or cannot perform stuff. The other problem is accountability. Is your application able to inform you about what happens? And are the action logged, and do these logs can be integrated with something able to read them? Because if I have 10 different logging types in 10 different applications, it's not the same that having a log server where all the logs get collected. And also the policies of these cloud providers, how are they managed? Where do I get the detail of the security policies of SaaS and cloud services? The last problem about standards is that these services are really, really hard to be integrated together. They are not that interoperable in the end. So this is a regression compared to the traditional model. There are a lot of security companies that try to make the cloud safer by answering these issues. But the market itself is really young, so there is no one-stop shop, one single solution to make the cloud safer as the traditional paradigm. Another issue is the legal aspect. Where is my data? Because my data belongs to a physical place that belongs to the sovereignty of a state. And there are a lot of examples of issues with the law when it comes to privacy and so on. So, for example, Microsoft hiding data from the NSA, moving it to Europe, or this guy who won a dispute against Facebook about the privacy of his data. And the places around the world handle privacy in a really, really different way. We also have an issue with government who are going to spy on our data. So it's not the regulation alone, but it's also the government that want to access it. So think about the fact that the safe harbor that was an agreement between the European Union and the US has been rejected years later. They say, no, it was a joke. The safe harbor isn't in place anymore, and the day after, the United States pushed for working on the privacy shield. So a new agreement on how the privacy of the data should be handled between the European Union and the US. And how the data is protected under the law. For example, if the United States law enforcement want to get my server because they think that it contains important information, they need a search warrant to get into my data center and take the server itself. And when they do a search warrant, I'm always notified about this. So I always know that the law enforcement is going to take my server, my disk, my data. In the USA, if they want to access a third-party provider, they just need a subpoena. That's a completely different piece of paper. And I will never know that my data has been accessed. So if I have the server in my home, they need a search warrant, and I will know it. If my data is on Dropbox, they just need a subpoena, and they will access it without me knowing anything. And also, there are abuses of the existent laws. Think about the Patriot Act. There's even a Wikipedia entry about the abuse. And think about, for example, what happened in Italy with autistici inventati when the Italian police went to the data center, I think it was Aruba, and stole the server. In the end, they known it, that the server was stolen. If they were on a cloud provider, they would never know. Okay, we saw all this stuff. In the end, if you are a cloud provider, you have to comply with the police requests, or you can shut down. For example, in the LavaBit, tale, the service owner decided to shut down the service, completely destroy the service, to not comply with the US, with the American law enforcement that wanted to access the emails unencrypted. And think about the recent San Bernardino news. The feds that invoke an All Writs Act that basically says you have to do everything in your ability to allow the law enforcement to access the data. But they abuse 200 years old laws to get your data. And we know that we shouldn't have any trust in the government because they lost it all with all the recent post-2005 scandals that happened. So in the end, who accesses your data? It may be even the government. It's not a completely remote scenario. The liability. Who has the liability about the handling of the data? If you read the TOS, the term of service of Dropbox, it says that, well, you, the customer, have to indemnify, defend, and hold harmless Dropbox from and against all liabilities, damages, and costs. So you put your data on Dropbox, but Dropbox, in your in the terms of a service that you signed, says, well, I will store your data, but I give you no assurance about anything, and I'm not liable for anything. So a service level agreement alone is not a substitute of trust, but when the service level agreement is written this way, we should have no trust at all from the beginning. Because if in your TOS you say, I will do my best to handle safely your data, and I have a liability up to $1 million, okay, we have an agreement, and maybe you will not be able to comply with that agreement. But in this case, we don't have an agreement at all. And in the end, the only insurance, the only liability shift that you can get is the error and omission insurance that is the professional insurance that exists in Italy, for example. So it's just something on the damage on the economic side. There is no liability shift at all. The last issue is the ownership. What does happen when I delete some data from a cloud service? Does it get is it deleted for real? When I go to Facebook and I delete a photo, does it get deleted? When I delete a file from Dropbox, is it deleted? We will never know because it's a non-transparent system. And who can use the data? If you read the Facebook term and condition, you discover that you are not the owner of the data that you load into the system. So that's another huge issue. Okay, I hope to be able to give you an overview of the defects of the cloud paradigm. And I want to close with an example of disalignment between the marketing and the reality. Codespaces in 2013 was a Subversion and Git hosting service provider. A Subversion or a Git is a place where the developers load their code to work in team and so on. So they were hosting the code of developers. And it was super secure, used by Rico, used by Bosch, fast, secure. They had rock solid hosting. They have a full failover systems and backups and so on. What happened? They had an extortion from an hacker who started by performing a denial of service and bringing down the service. Then this hacker hacked into the Amazon account. So this startup built an application on the Amazon that is a good service provider. But the hacker hacked their account and deleted all the production systems and then deleted the backups because their backups were on Amazon. So the hacker logged in and deleted everything. The cost of recovering from this attack for Codespaces was so high, in my opinion, it was impossible, simply impossible, because the data was gone. All the code of the people was vaporized. So the cost of recovering from the attack was higher than closing the business. And they just closed the business and shut down the service. This is how the cloud really works. And it's not said that this could not happen with your private systems. It happens every day with your private systems. But the fact that you think that with the cloud it doesn't happen at all, it's a lie. Perfect. Thank you. I am finished. Well, keep in touch. Bye-bye.